One of the key distinctions of the Book of Concord is its assertion that the Bible is the norma normans, the norming norm above all things. All confessional writings, including the Book of Concord, are considered norma normata, norms that are subject to and drawn from the Scriptures. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching from wherever you're watching. Welcome back to In With and Under. In a previous video, I outlined our various confessions of faith in the Lutheran tradition, but today I want to take a deeper look at the Lutheran Confessions as a whole. They are found in the Book of Concord, and we'll explore, in brief, the history behind it as well as the completeness of doctrine it provides. As one of the oldest and most thorough confessional documents in Christianity, the Book of Concord stands apart for its clarity, coherence, and definitive stance on doctrine. The Book of Concord, which was compiled between 1530 and 1580, is not just a correction of Roman Catholic tradition and abuses. It also addresses the unintended consequences of the Reformation, doctrines and practices that allowed humanism and a philosophy to creep into theology. In its creation, Luther, Melanchthon, Chemnitz, and others were dodging darts from all directions, Roman Catholics on one side and various Protestant reformers on the other. But through their struggles, they crafted a document that clarifies Scripture and codifies the faith with precision and without ambiguity. The Book of Concord spans over 700 pages, making it one of the most comprehensive statements of Christian doctrine. In contrast, other confessions, such as the Westminster Confession or the 1689 Baptist Confession, are much shorter, around 40 to 60 pages. And while they articulate essential Christian truths, they do not go into the same depth or historical detail. These documents focus on systematic theology, leaving room for interpretation on critical issues like the nature of the sacraments and the role of the Church. For example, the Book of Concord provides a clear and definitive explanation of the Eucharist, affirming the real presence of Christ in the sacrament and tying it to the early Church's understanding. It rejects both the Roman Catholic view of transubstantiation and the symbolic view common among other Protestant confessions. Contrast that with the Westminster Confession, which speaks of a spiritual presence, leaving the interpretation open to debate, or the 1689 Baptist Confession, which suggests the bread and wine are inwardly received by faith, but does not explain how or why this occurs. Similarly, the Book of Concord addresses the doctrine of justification with unmistakable clarity, stating that justification is by faith alone, sola fide, and grounding it in both Scripture and the writings of the Church Fathers. Other confessions may affirm sola fide, but they don't provide the same level of detail or historical context, which can leave room for confusion or disagreement about the role of works and grace in salvation. One of the key distinctions of the Book of Concord is its assertion that the Bible is the norma normans, the norming norm above all things. All confessional writings, including the Book of Concord, are considered norma normata, norms that are subject to and drawn from the Scriptures. This means that while confessions like the Book of Concord are incredibly authoritative, they are not on the same level as Scripture, and some of them need a lot more normata. Instead, the Lutheran Confessions are a faithful interpretation and application of the Scripture. In contrast, while many other confessions, while affirming the authority of Scripture, don't offer as firm a distinction. They tend to lean more heavily on systematic theology and tradition, which can leave their statements more open to interpretation or in need of further clarification. The Anglicans, while they have a complete and rich Book of Common Prayer from which we also draw much, tend to have a more vague doctrinal statement. The 39 articles leave much open to interpretation, especially concerning the nature of the Eucharist and salvation. The Methodist articles are similarly concise and lack the robust theological clarity found in the Book of Concord. In the end, the Book of Concord isn't just a tool for apologetics. It is meant to shape how we live our lives as Christians. It's not just about defending doctrine against error. It's about grounding our daily lives in the unambiguous, well-structured teaching that has been passed down through the ages. The clarity and depth of the Book of Concord guide us in our understanding of the Scriptures, the sacraments, church, and salvation, ensuring that we are rooted in the historic, unchanging faith. The Book of Concord helps us live as Christians by showing us how the faith we confess should shape our hearts and actions. This is why the comprehensive, coherent, and historically grounded nature of the Book of Concord stands in stark contrast to confessions that are shorter, less definitive, or more open to personal interpretation. These documents serve not only to defend the faith, but shape our identity as faithful followers of Christ. So, as we've seen, the Book of Concord stands as a towering example of clarity, coherence, and unwavering fidelity to Scripture. In a world where doctrines can sometimes become fuzzy or subject to endless reinterpretation, the Book of Concord gives us a rock-solid foundation, one that's rooted in the Bible as the norm in our minds, guiding us with the wisdom of the early church fathers. But it's not just about defending what we believe. It's about living it out. The clarity in the Book of Concord shapes our daily walk with Christ, how we think, act, and grow in our faith. It's a blueprint for how we engage with the world, both in apologetics and in our Christian life. So, the next time you're confronted with a theological question or doubt, remember, we don't just defend the faith with empty words. We stand firm on the norm in our minds and the clarity given to us through the Book of Concord. And as always, don't let those men who study the Bible on their own tell you that clarity and doctrine aren't essential. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay grounded in the truth and keep dodging those darts.